We'll never make it if it's like this. 700 meters this way. Can't take us 3 days.
Day 20 of surviving in the Amazon jungle, and we're barely holding on. Deep in Suriname, the most forested country on earth, lies Tafelberg. Few have reached its tabletop, but our research suggests that there's only one man who's climbed to its true highest peak. We've lost weight, we've lost strength, turning back has been discussed. But ahead of us is something almost no one's dared to touch. And now, low on food, with barely any energy, we're going for it. Will we make it through this unforgiving jungle canopy to a peak that hasn't seen human footsteps for decades? Let's find out.
So as we get higher to the summit, it's going to be more challenging to find water. And we kind of need a camp with water, have a good enough drink and be able to cook, be able to wash ourselves. So the initial plan was to follow this creek up, but it doesn't go that far towards the summit. However, based on botanical research from like the 40s, 50s, there's a patch of forest towards the east ridge. So we're actually thinking to follow this creek, get through the forest, so we don't have to go through all the vines and everything and the savannas, which turned out to be horrible yesterday. The forest is a little bit off route, but can actually make a bigger distance. And that patch of forest on East Ridge also has its own creek. So that will potentially be a place for us to set up camp. And from there on, hopefully we can follow the ridge of the mountain.
So we've got another big push today. It was a hard day yesterday. Got to a lot of us, especially Jacob. I think he's quite concerned with the water and suggested maybe not making it today and turning back. But I can't give up. I've got to get this one in the bag. I can't come all the way here and skip a mountain when we're this close. We're 3 kilometers as the crow flies. It's very dense though. It's very thick with the jungle, but we have to find a way. We've got the water. We have got food enough for 1 or 2 more nights, and we need to push on. We need to get there. You know, it is hard, but this is the expedition. This is why it hasn't been done, and this is why we must continue to be the ones to get the job done. But this final push needs, we need to give it our all and make it to the summit of Table Mountain. With just enough food and water to last 2 days, we push deeper into the jungle canopy towards a remote peak hidden weeks away from civilization, a place so untouched it's likely gone decades without a single human footprint. After nearly 3 relentless weeks surviving in the Amazon, our bodies were beat up and barely hanging in there. Every step felt heavier, and it wasn't long before the jungle reminded us this journey was far from over.
We've definitely reached the point on the botanical map that shows it as being forest. If the forest is not there or it's not as open as we thought, then if it's like this, it's going to take us 2 days at least just to get up. Then we have to get down again.
The thing is, the summit is literally only like 100 meters higher than us.
Now we can't think in distance. We have to think in hours. I mean, it literally is 3 kilometers away.
Yeah.
But 3 kilometers of this is literally like 2 days.
Yeah. We'd been pushing forward for hours, hacking through a wall of vegetation with no trails and no clear path, and yet we barely made a dent in distance. Only 3 kilometers to go, but it felt like 30. The work was excruciating. Every movement drained us. And then the questions started creeping in, and even if we made it, we still had to find a way back.
So it's practically impenetrable here. We don't have the provisions, nor do we have the water, nor do we have the power to be able to continue if it's like this. We're about 2.5, 3 kilometers from the summit. However, we're almost similar altitude. We're like only 150, 200 meters lower than the actual highest point. So it feels like we're practically on the summit, but we're not. And we've been going hard all day yesterday, this morning, and we're just making terrible progress.
Questioning whether this journey was even possible, we could feel our bodies beginning to break down. In 6 grueling hours, we'd moved just 500 meters. Then, for the first time in days, we caught a glimpse of sky through the jungle canopy. A small window of light and maybe a chance. With only minutes of battery left, we launched the drone, desperate to see what the terrain looked like around us. But as the drone climbed above the canopy, all we could see was more of the same. Dense, unbroken jungle, stretching in every direction. We were boxed in and running out of options. In a last-ditch effort, we tried to get signal on our satellite device and tried to reach the only man we knew who had claimed to summit the true highest point of Tafelberg.
Is this the clearest sky we've seen in a while?
It's the only sky we've seen for a while.
We just need to hold. Oh, full bars right here.
Hey, hoe gaat het met Dick? Ik ben nu op Tafelberg.
Hoi, hoe is het? Hoe is het?
Goed, goed, goed. Oké, hi, later.
Groetjes aan iedereen eigenlijk.
Thanks.
He said, you went the wrong way?
No, he said I never made the top. The last 100 meters was too hard.
Oh,
Really?
whoa.
Too hard because of the vegetation?
Yeah, it's like we got almost there, but just the last bit was so horrible. And from there on, they went on East Ridge towards the top, but it's virtually impossible to reach the top.
But does that mean has people ever been to the top? Because now I have a double feeling. I'm like, on the one hand, I'm like, okay, now I feel less bad that we didn't make it, but at the same time, it's like
100 meters we can do.
we could be the first people to be up there.
Yeah.
But again, it comes back to our situation. Are we willing to not eat for a few more days? I don't think we can do it.
So I think that phone call, he's just kind of potentially saved us as well, in a way that we, in my mind, the summit maybe starts opening out, whereas he's just said that's the worst point.
Yeah, man. We did good.
But what you're saying is a big comfort to me. For us, the thing was, for me personally, like I failed to climb the mountain 6 years ago, and we now f***ing climbed the mountain.
Yeah, man, exactly.
And what you're saying too, it's a f***ing tabletop mountain, man. We're on the top.
Yeah, I know.
It's flat.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
We made it to the top, but we didn't make it to the rock on top.
Yeah, basically.
The cherry on the cake.
Yeah.
We didn't climb the cherry.
Yeah. And you know, it is an adventure and these things happen. They don't always go as planned in the way that you want them, but you've got to adapt and improvise, and our way of adapting right now is to admit defeat by the summit, but in a humble way of, wow, that's brutal. This jungle, the bamboo, the amount that she was just trying to stop us from pushing on, and there's 4 of us, you know, and we're sharing hacking duty, and still she beats us down. But that's a lesson in its own.
Yeah, like I said, I'm really grateful to have had these days to really fully appreciate what it means to have to go through bamboo and vines for kilometers at a time.
Yeah.
Because I just couldn't possibly imagine it being that slow and that mentally challenging.
In hindsight, you know, it's one of those, you can look back and you could have done this and you could have done that. Could have taken more food, could have taken more water. We could have planned to spend a week to get from base camp to the summit. And I'm super proud of how far we've come anyway.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
really
me too.
I think we're a solid team.
100%.
And it's a weird feeling almost. I feel I've succeeded without the achievement. So it almost feels like a success, but you're going home without being able to say that, because we got to the top and we've had a great time and we've pushed ourselves physically and mentally.
And also what you said, like physical and mental boundaries, you know, that's something we want to do this expedition for as well, to find those boundaries.
Yeah, for me, mentally, I'm getting there. I think if we did this for another day, I think that's me done.
Yeah.
And then you gotta get back.
Yeah, then you gotta get back.
Yeah.
So we are now heading back to base camp. Of course, didn't quite hit the summit. We were 150, 200 meters lower than its actual elevation, but I feel it's the right choice to make. You know, we didn't come fully prepared for the summit. We didn't anticipate it taking us this long, so we have less water, less food, and less charge in terms of battery. But you know, we made it to the top of tabletop, but the summit is slightly short. But you know, despite that, we're all in high spirits. I think we made such a good decision, and we collectively came together to come to the conclusion to turn back. You know, for all of us, the main objective is the highest mountain in Suriname, the source of the Kopenham, and of course, from source to sea being the world first record. Table Mountain was just a bonus that we threw in there because we thought it's going to be beautiful, and it is, and it has been. It's just getting to that last little bit proves to be a struggle, and from the sounds of it, it sounds like no one has reached the summit of that mountain before, which is crazy. Didn't know it could have potentially been a first. Had I have known,